Hey everybody, what's up? It's your host, SeattleBeats, and welcome to the Seahawks 12th Man Week in Review for Week 6's matchup versus the Atlanta Falcons. Now, in the background, I'll have some Madden gameplay for you, because the last time I made a video, I used GTA as a background just because it kind of looked cool. But people are like, I want football, so here's some football while I talk. Today's game had a lot of interesting things happen, and honestly, it was a nail-biter up to the end, so let's get into what happened this week. First things first, number 3, Russell Wilson, had a great game management game today. Now, a game manager isn't really highly thought of in the NFL when you use that word, but he's not a typical game manager because he does have an arm that can throw a ton of touchdowns. But the reason why he's a great game manager when he doesn't throw touchdowns is because he's so smart in how he handles himself. He's known for having a great football IQ, and I honestly think that's what makes him a superstar. He can help contribute even without throwing touchdowns, and that's what I like about him. This game was a nail-biter towards the end of it, but Russell Wilson kept his cool, relied on the running game, and got it done when it mattered. Michael Bennett went down today and people started panicking on the Seahawks bench and on probably behind the TVs too, because it looked like Michael Bennett could have done something terrible to his knee because it got really hyperextended. But thankfully it looks like he's just going out with knee soreness. We might not have to worry as much there. The player that we have to watch now when it comes to MRIs is Luke Wilson. I know he's a backup tight end, but honestly he does a lot of good for us, just like Jimmy Graham, just in a little bit of a different way. But thankfully, it looks like our superstar defensive player, along with the other superstars we have, are going to be fine. And it's always really freaky when you have a player you like that going down. It's just, you never want to worry about somebody having a season-ending injury. It's something that can really freak you out, but thankfully, fans, you can calm down a little bit. I was pretty worried, too. And then on to more positive news. Christine Michael, number 32, had 2 rushing touchdowns today. And even though he didn't pass 100 yards rushing the last 2 games, Christine Michael has shown that he looks like he's the starting running back for this team. And honestly, with how good he's been performing this year, I really don't know how Thomas Rawls could take the job back. Maybe they could do something that would terrify fantasy owners and do a 50-50 split where Rawls takes half the carries and Christine Michael takes half the carries. Personally, as a fantasy player, I wouldn't want that. But as a fantasy fan, I honestly think that would be good because they wouldn't really get tired either way. So with that being said, I don't have the Michael on my fantasy team, so I could be alright. But being a Seahawks fan, I still think it would be better if Rawls just kind of came in as a backup occasionally. But hey, Rawls did great last year, so if he can somehow bring that back, I guess we'll see. The coaches know best. I can't give the best advice, but that's what I'd probably say. Just watch it and see what happens, but I really think it's likely that Christine Michael keeps his job without even a question. And then on the defensive side of the ball, I'd say the most clutch player coming out of today was Earl Thomas. Now, Earl Thomas made up for some mistakes that happened earlier in the game, some blown coverages that put Julio Jones, of all players, wide open. But later in the game, when the Falcons were coming back, they were down, actually we were down by 1 point, and they're going down the field, and Matt Ryan threw a pick to Earl Thomas. That changed the tide. We went down and got the field goal by Stephen Hauschka, and we were able to hold him in the end. Earl Thomas came in very clutch today. Last time the Seahawks played, it was Richard Sherman. This time it was definitely Earl Thomas. His speed comes so in handy and those great hands he has. Trust me, guys, he did a lot today, and that really helped. And then also, Jimmy Graham continues to impress. Now, if you're wanting to trade for a tight end in fantasy, if you have some people that aren't that high on Jimmy Graham, you should go for him, because honestly, Jimmy Graham looks like the number 1 target on this offense now, like over Doug Baldwin, and that's saying a lot for a tight end. It looks like he's going to be the Jimmy Graham of old, and that is incredible. And finally, the thing that I think pretty much everyone's going to be talking about, especially the Falcons fan, was the uncalled penalty at the end of the game. Now, when I watched this so-called uncalled pass interference penalty, You could tell it was totally unintentional. It was Sherman and I can't remember who else defending Julio Jones, and Sherman had a hand on Jones's arm, which is obviously a pass interference. You could see it on the tape, and that would have put them probably at like the 50-yard line. It doesn't mean that they would have gotten the field goal because they would have had to probably go another 20 yards, but that play really could have made a big difference. So people are probably going to be talking about that. The no call pass interference on Julio Jones, but regardless, it did not look intentional, so there's no reason to get too mad. I think it's just a ref mistake. But Falcons fans, I feel for you, man. I'd be pretty angry if that happened to my team, too. Things like that happen sometimes. I've had it happen to our team versus other teams, and unfortunately, it just looks like the Falcons got the bad end of it today. Sorry about that, guys, but that's basically everything I feel like there needs to be covered today. It was a nail-biter game all the way up until the end. Alright everybody, thanks for watching. I appreciate your support. If you could like and share on this video, that would be amazing. I'll see you for next week's Seahawks game, but until then, go Hawks.